Hi guys, long time no see. Welcome to another video. This is going to be my October and September wrapped, and I'm very excited to show you all the books that I have read in that time. I honestly forgot how many books I had read in those 2 months, so there's actually quite a few to get through. So I might quick fire them because I don't want this video to be 40 minutes for you guys. That might not be nice. So I'm gonna quick fire it, but first off, welcome to my channel if you're new, and if you're not new, you might be wondering where I've been. I haven't posted anything for a month. Oops. It's nothing bad, everything's fine. I just had a lot of work to catch up on. Life got very, very, very busy, and I just lost track of time. So we're back on the grind now. Hopefully we're going to stay on the grind. Fingers crossed. I think it's a bit weird filming for the first time in over a month. I'm finding it a bit strange, so you'll have to bear with me as I settle back into talking to a camera by myself in my bedroom. Love that. And can you see all the dust particles? I swear my room is clean. I promise. It's the window is right there, so it's just that, you know, when the light and all that. You guys don't care about that. That's not an interesting conversation to have, is it? No. Okay, should we get started? I'm gonna go from the first book I read in September, and then we'll just go through in timeline order. Let me show you guys the first book. Okay, so the first book I read is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This book was very surprising. I was expecting it to just be like a classic cozy romance, not cozy, it's set in the summer, but you know what I mean, like a classic summer romance, and it really took me by surprise. There were a lot of themes in here that are quite sensitive and very personal and very deep, and I feel like I should tell you that as someone who's read it, because I don't want you to go into reading this like next summer and expect what I expected and then be like hit by a dump truck of emotions. Okay, warning you. But it was really, really good. It made me cry, which I don't expect. I think the characters were really well fleshed out. I rated it a 4 stars. I just think if you're going to read it, please search up the contents of the book before picking it up. But it was stunning. Am I going to read her other books? Maybe next summer. I'm not going to put pressure on myself to, but I will if I feel like it. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it was a good read. It was quite refreshing actually to read a romance with quite deep themes. Like it felt very human and very raw, but the romance was still there in the root of it. It's like, this is a bit cringy. This is very cringy actually, but like love can prevail, guys. And I love the cover. It's so pretty. Yeah, I love this one. Next one I absolutely adored. I just feel like September was a very good reading month, but this is called Everything Beautiful by Ella Francis Sanders. Just look at her. Look at her in all her glory. Isn't she so pretty? And basically it's a, I don't want to say it's a graphic novel, but it's a sort of like self-help book with illustrations, and it's all about finding the beauty in everyday life and challenging like social beauty to, how do I explain it? It's like beauty products and people selling beauty products and saying you need to buy this to be pretty. It's challenging that and telling you you're beautiful just as you are, and there's beauty in the world. If you go on a walk and you see a tree and it's got autumn leaves on it, those autumn leaves are actually gorgeous. So yeah, it's about finding beauty in the everyday and finding beauty within yourself. I'm just flicking through it because it's so pretty. Like, look at this page. Look at this page. It's gorgeous. I was mesmerized by the writing. I was mesmerised by the drawings. There's little interactive bits, so I had fun doing that. It talks about the beauty in art. It talks about the beauty in community, in animals, in relationships. It's just so, so beautiful, and I will definitely be reading this again, and I'm so glad I picked up. I picked up on a whim when I was away, and I didn't really think anything of it, and it's literally like, I don't want to say life changing, but it has really changed my perspective on things. I now notice a lot more beautiful things that I didn't before, and I think it's really beneficial, and I think it's a really good book if you want to start focusing on a bit more positivity. So yeah. The next book, I also rated 4 stars. I'm not going to go into it too much because I did do a reading vlog on this, which is on my channel, but it's Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I mean, we all know, unless you're new here, then you might not know, that Happy Place by Emily Henry is one of my all-time favourite reads ever, so I had to pick up another one of her books. I love this, obviously not as much as Happy Place. Happy Place just spoke to me in a way that no other book has, but I loved the characters, I loved the writing, I loved the setting. Yeah, it was magical, but I'm not going to say anymore because I did a reading vlog on this, and if you've watched that then you've already heard everything I have to say on this book. But I do love Charlie Lester. Next book is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I filmed a summer reading vlog where I read all of Chestnut Springs, and I haven't actually posted it because I just kept forgetting to edit it, and then I had my month off, and then I was a bit like, is it too late to post a summer reading vlog? But I think I will anyway. I think I'm gonna post it anyway. Obviously it's up to you guys if you want to watch it or anything, because it's now not summer, but I think because I made the effort of filming it all and I loved Chestnut Springs so much, it is one of my favourite series, I am going to post it soon, hopefully. Maybe you'll get it in January, who knows at this rate, but you will get it at some point. I continued with the author through Wild Love. I didn't like this as much as her other books. I have read another one of her books, which is also in this reading wrapped, and I liked that one more than this one. This was actually a 3.5, which is very low for me for an Elsie Silver book. Like, I normally rate them 4 stars or above because they're amazing books. And 3.5, I want to say, is not a bad rating. Like, it doesn't mean I didn't like this book. I would still recommend it. I still enjoyed it. I just didn't love it, you know, I didn't connect with the characters as much as I have previous characters. But the cover is gorgeous. We all know I am a sucker for pretty covers. I'm sorry, but I am. I really am. And this is gorgeous. But yeah, so I like the setting and I like the ranch and I like the characters that we're going to see in future books. I think the issue is that the characters we're going to see in future books, and we have seen in future books, spoke out to me and connected to me more. I don't know why I'm doing this. Than these 2 characters. I still love the story, I still connected to it. It just wasn't as good as our other books. But yeah, I still recommend it. And then the last 2 books I read in September. One of them I don't have on me, but it was just a book for university, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Like, I don't think there's a need to, because it wasn't read for fun. It was read for education. It was a poetry collection. I rated it 2 stars, so yeah. But then I read another poetry collection that I actually loved, and I read this by myself. It wasn't for uni, I read it on my own coalition, and that is coalition the right word? I don't think it is, you know. My own choice is probably a better term. What does coalition even mean? Anyway, The Orange and Other Poems by Wendy Cope. First off, she's tiny, and let's be honest, we all love a tiny book. It's got a bit dark, but we all love a tiny book. It's gorgeous. I love you, I'm glad I exist, which is a quote from one of her poems, is actually as written on the sticker on the orange, which I find such a cute, lovely detail. This is a 5-star. It might be one of the best books I've read this year. I got it because I love her poem, The Orange, which is what the book is named after. So I thought if I love that, I obviously want it written in a book, and I also want to read her others, and I do not regret it. I think about these poems every day, and I'm so grateful that I exist at the same time as these poems. That is really deep, but honestly, like 5 stars. 5 stars. If you haven't read it, read it. Run to your local bookstore right now and pick it up. It is worth the £10 that I spent on it. It's so worth it. It explores womanhood and friendships and relationships and mental health in such a sensitive and raw but also beautifully human way that takes your breath away. And yeah, I'm not going to forget these poems anytime soon. So those are all the books I read in September, so now I'll send you over to October. I love how I said send you over like I'm jumping forward in time, because I'm not. It's the exact same time. But I think you guys are going to be really, really happy. That is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I love Gilmore Girls. I watch it nearly every morning, nearly every evening. I'm doing some uni work. You better believe Gilmore Girls is on in the background. I love it. And Lorelai is my favourite, for anyone wondering. So I thought, you know what? It's a cosy autumn read. Autumn is my favourite season. We all know I love a good pumpkin spice latte. I consume them at unhealthy rates, and Laurie Gilmore is the author's pen name. Forward in this book, and it's saying for everyone who loves Gilmore Girls, so it works in my favour. I loved it. Actually rated it 4.5 stars, which is very high for like a cozy seasonal romance, but it was like the perfect time for me to read this book. I was reading it while drinking a pumpkin spice latte, and autumn was starting, and there was like a perfect little bit of mystery in here, which I love because I don't like mystery when it's like really dark and scary. I like it when it's cozy and it's enough to keep your attention but not enough to scare you, which was the mystery in this book, so I loved that. I loved how she set up the town and the other characters. It felt a bit like a found family. I felt like I was living in that town with them. And I loved the love interest. I didn't think I would. When I read the back of this book, I thought, oh, it will be okay to read in autumn, but I don't think I'm going to love it. I love it. And I'm so glad I read it. So yeah. The next book I read is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. This is the sequel to The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I rated this, I've got my ratings written down because I don't know them off by heart. Okay, I'm sorry, I read too many books. 3.5. I liked this one, I did. Again, 3.5 is not a bad rating. It means that I liked it and I'd recommend it again. It just means that I didn't love it. I thought there was a bit too much spice in this book. Just for me personally, I thought it was a bit much. I thought that maybe audiences had said more, and she'd just gone, and I was like, whoa. So yeah, but I liked the characters. I loved the whole I'm growing up and I feel like I haven't lived my life and I feel like I live in a bookstore ideal. I mean, I'm a lot younger than the character in this book, but I did relate to that. But I do think it was just played a bit too dramatically. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world when you grow up. I think that should be seen as a positive and not as a negative. And it was put as a bit of a negative in this book. But I did like the characterizations. I loved the love interest. I found him to be very, very complex, maybe more complex than the female love interest in this book. He worked through his issues and didn't just into a relationship and all the issues were solved. Like, he actually worked through it, which I really enjoyed. Again, there was another cozy mystery in this book, and we all know I love a cozy mystery. So yeah. I then realised I hadn't read any of the books that were on my October Wrapped, so I then picked up King of Sloth. This is actually the perfect time to read this. I read the rest of the 3 books at the same time last year. That really paid off for me. I was like, oh great, like It felt a bit like deja vu, but in a good way, if that makes sense. It was going back down memory lane, but also I was reading a new book and I really enjoyed it. I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed the series. I feel like when you read a series and then a year passes, you forget how much you enjoy it. I know this one has had some negative reviews and I can understand why. It is longer than the others, and I think some romances are a bit longer. It's a bit like, like, does it have to be that long? Do you know what I mean? Like, it is a romance. I don't think we need it to be 400, 500 pages, which is actually putting me off reading her Twister series, by the way. I need to do that. But I really liked it. I loved, again, the characterization of the male love interest was really strong. And so was the characterization of the female love interest. Why am I finding characterization so hard to say? I just feel like in a lot of books, the female love interest is more fleshed out than the male. So it was nice to read like 2 books in a row where the male love interest was really fleshed out. I really enjoyed that and it had me on my toes. I was like, what's going to happen next? Like, how are they going to work through their trauma and their issues and how are they going to be together? And I loved seeing the characters from the other 3 books. I love seeing those characters in this book. I wish we saw more of them. We didn't see as much of them as I wanted to, so I was a bit bummed out about that. I thought they're supposed to be best friends, so where are they? I definitely felt a bit like that. I felt like they were a stronger presence in the other 3 books, and that really threw me off because I was like, hang on a second, your besties should be there for you. Where are they? But I did enjoy it. I did. I liked it. It was a really quick read for me. I'm 3.5, of course. My most common rating, I think. Okay, we're now on to the last 2 books of the video. The first one is Anara Elsie Silver. It's the second book in the Wild series. I don't think it is called the Wild series, but I'm going to call it the Wild series. And that is Wild Eyes. I loved this so much more than Wild Love. I rated it 4 stars, which means I did love it. It takes a lot to get me to a 5-star. Like, a 5-star, I think there's about 5 of them on my bookshelf. It takes me a lot to get there. So for that in mind, a 4-star is an amazing rating for me. I might even up it to 4.5 because I have not been able to stop thinking about this. There's a parrot in it and I'm actually scared of birds, fun fact. But I love the parrot. The parrot entertained me. The parrot has a personality of its own and it is the main character. And I liked how in this book, although he's a single dad, the children weren't as much of a focus as they were in the first book. I felt like in the first book, Cora, the child of the male love interest, was in it a lot, and I think that's what put me off the first book a bit. It should just be a side point, like I don't want it to be the main point. I hope that makes sense. But in this, first off, they felt realistic. Second off, they were in it the whole time, which I really loved. Wes. I love Wes. I love Wes. I loved Wes in Wild Love, so I was so excited. He was one of the characters who I felt very connected to, very excited for their book. Fictional crush, so I'm really glad this is his book. Yeah, I loved Skylar. I was scared to read about the like celebrity slinger trope because I feel like sometimes it can go wrong and people can write it wrong, but actually it felt realistic in this. It felt real. All the suns come back. It didn't feel cringy or unrealistic, and it really focused, her career was there, but it focused on her identity based off her career. So it was more a focus on her and her self-progress. And I feel like that really made the career more realistic. And I loved how she came there so lost, and that was a really interesting development to see throughout the book. Is it grumpy slash sunshine? I would say it's grumpy slash sunshine. I would say Skylar's the grumpy, Wes is the sunshine. Like Skylar's black cat and Wes is golden retriever. But yeah, I really love this one. And then the last book I read in October, I feel like you guys are going to be really happy about. I'm really happy about it. I'm so glad I read it. And that is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Oh my god. I rated this 4 stars, but after a few weeks of thinking about it 24/7, I'm going to up it to a 4.5 because what was this? Maybe even a 4.75, okay? Because what was this book? What was it? First off, I read the first 50 pages and was like, I think I hate this. I think I hate it. They're gonna hate me because I think I hate this. I fell in love with the messiness. character observations on all of them, and the study of how they act and how their lives are and how they act with each other and the toxicity of it all and the relationships. I just loved it. Also, Henry Valentine, you are my love. You are my one love. It was amazing. I loved it. I highlighted so many quotes. I think it's the kind of book where you really wouldn't expect the writing to be amazing, but the writing's amazing. It's breathtaking. It takes your breath away. You're sat there and you're like, how could a book about some rich young adults in London who just cheat on each other and are so toxic, how can that create beautiful works of art, sentences like that? How? But she did it. And I think you have to be so intelligent and so talented to pull that off. Like, definitely, hands down. If I was in charge of English degrees, I would put this on the syllabus of every single one. I loved it. And I have started the rest of the series, so I guess you guys will hear about that soon. But I loved it. So yeah, that is all the books I read in September and October, so there are quite a few. Keep your eyes out for more videos because I am starting to edit and post again, which I'm really, really happy about. I'm sorry for my absence again, but I'm back. I'm back full force. Hope to see you guys soon. If you haven't, like, follow and subscribe for more content and just to cheer up my day. But I'll see you guys soon, and bye!